The day I was supposed to be finalizing my wedding seating chart, you know, debating whether to put my chatty aunt next to my quiet cousin, I was actually sitting in a sterile room giving a police report against my future mother-in-law. She'd drained our entire wedding fund. $20,000 we had scraped and saved, and not for some medical emergency, but to bail her criminal son out of jail. This is the story of how the woman I was supposed to call Mom blew up our lives in the worst way possible, shattering our dreams and forcing us to choose between family and the law. It's how our dream wedding turned into a living nightmare, and how we had to fight back, not just for the money, but for our future. It all started, as these things do, with a dream. My fiancé, Liam, and I had been together for 5 years. He was just a good man. Steady, kind, with a quiet strength that always made me feel safe. Our whole relationship was built on respect, a ton of laughter, and the same vision for where we were headed. So when he proposed on a camping trip, under a sky full of stars, it wasn't a surprise. It just felt right. The next natural step. We dove right into planning. We're not fancy people, but we knew what we wanted. A beautiful day to celebrate with everyone we loved. Good food, a great band, an open bar, a memory to last a lifetime. And we knew that memory had a price tag. For 2 years, we worked our butts off. We both took on extra shifts, I did freelance work on weekends, and Liam used his handyman skills for anyone in the neighborhood who needed it. We skipped vacations, we cooked at home, and every single spare dollar went into a savings account we nicknamed the Wedding Fund. Watching that balance grow was proof of our partnership. It wasn't just money. It was all those skipped dinners out, all those extra hours. When it finally hit $20,000, we were so proud. It was enough. Enough for the rustic barn venue we loved, the photographer whose pictures made my heart sing, the dress I'd been eyeing for months. Our dream felt real, sitting right there in that bank account. Of course, a marriage isn't just about 2 people. It's about 2 families. My family was thrilled, super supportive. Liam's family was complicated. His mother, Brenda, was a woman of 2 faces. To the world, she was a doting mom and a pillar of her community. But behind closed doors, her affection was a limited resource. Liam was the responsible one, the stable job, the long-term relationship. He was reliable, and because of that, he was usually overlooked. Her other son, Liam's younger brother Kevin, was the golden child. On the surface, he was charming, but underneath, he was a black hole of trouble. His life was a highlight reel of bad choices. From petty theft Brenda waved off as boys being boys to a DUI she blamed on his friends. He couldn't hold a job, was always in debt, and always needed a bailout. And Brenda was always there, checkbook open, ready to clean up his latest mess, wearing a mask of fierce, protective love that was blind to reality. We saw it play out over and over. When Liam graduated with honors, Brenda spent most of the dinner on the phone, fixing a misunderstanding Kevin had with his landlord. When we got engaged, her first question wasn't about our happiness. It was, "I hope you're not spending a fortune. You know Kevin's car is on its last legs." These were the red flags we chose to ignore. Liam had pretty much accepted it. "It's just how she is," he'd say with a sigh. "As long as it doesn't affect us, we just have to let it be." The biggest warning came about 2 months before everything fell apart. We were at Brenda's for dinner, and I was showing her a picture of the flowers I'd picked. She barely glanced at my phone before getting this weird, calculating look in her eye. "You know," she started, stirring her tea, "that's a lot of money to just have sitting in a bank account. So easy for banks to make a mistake or to get hacked. Maybe you should let me hold on to it for you. I can keep it safe in my house." I froze. A cold prickle of unease went down my spine. Liam just laughed it off. "Mom, it's fine. It's an insured account. Besides, we have to make payments from it." "I'm just saying," she pushed, looking right at me. "It's a big responsibility. It would be a shame if something happened to it." We changed the subject, but her words just hung there. heavy and unsettling. That night, I told Liam how much his mom's offer freaked me out. He just wrapped his arms around me. Babe, she's just being a control freak. She thinks she's the only one who knows how to do anything. Don't worry. The money is safe. No one can touch it but us. I believed him. I trusted that his family's weird dysfunction couldn't possibly break through the life we had built. I was so wrong. It all started to unravel on a Tuesday. A totally normal day, which made the chaos that followed feel even more insane. I had a final meeting with our venue coordinator that Friday, and a big payment, $10,000, was due. I logged into our joint savings account, our precious wedding fund, ready to move the money. The page loaded. I just stared at the screen. My brain couldn't make sense of what I was seeing. The balance wasn't $20,347.18. It was $47.18. I blinked, refreshed the page. Nothing. It had to be a glitch. My heart started hammering against my ribs. I logged out and back in. Same numbers. $20,000. Just gone. Panic, pure and absolute, washed over me. My hands were shaking so hard I could barely unlock my phone. I called the bank's fraud department, my voice cracking as I tried to explain that our life savings had vanished. The woman on the line was calm, which only made me feel crazier. "Ma'am," she said after a few minutes, "I do see a transaction. It wasn't a hack. It was a wire transfer initiated from inside the account 3 days ago." "A wire transfer? We didn't authorize that." I was almost yelling. There was a pause. The transfer was for exactly $20,000. It was made to a company called Freedom Fast Bail Bonds. The name meant nothing. Bail bonds? It sounded like something out of a movie. "We don't know anyone in jail," I stammered, the dread finally winning out over the confusion. "It has to be a mistake." "I'm sorry, ma'am," she said, her voice softening with pity. "The transfer was authenticated. There's no mistake on our end." I hung up, the world spinning. My mind was racing, trying to connect the dots. Who would need bail? And then, like a piece of ice in my gut, one name surfaced. A terrible, sickening thought. Kevin. With a feeling of absolute doom, I called Liam. The words just tumbled out. The empty account, the wire transfer, the bail bonds company. He was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was hollow. "Oh no," he whispered. "Oh God, no, not again. Let me call my mom." That was it. That was the moment I knew. Our dream wasn't just cracked. It had been dynamited. The drive to Brenda's house was the longest 20 minutes of my life. Liam was silent and furious, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. I just sat there, a cold knot of rage and grief forming in my stomach. The whole way, I just kept hearing her voice in my head. It would be a shame if something happened to it. It wasn't a warning. It was a promise. We found her in the garden, pruning roses like it was any other day. She looked up and smiled when she saw us, though the smile flickered when she saw our faces. "Liam, honey, what a surprise," she chirped. Liam didn't bother with small talk. His voice was low and dangerous. "Mom, where's our money?" Brenda's smile vanished. She tried to play dumb. "What money? What are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb, Brenda," I snapped, my voice shaking with a fury I didn't know I had. "Our wedding account, it's empty. The bank said 20 grand was wired to a bail bondsman. We know it was you." She dropped her shears and her face hardened. The sweet mom mask melted away, revealing someone cold and defiant. "Your brother was in trouble," she snapped, her voice rising. "He needed me. Was I supposed to let my son rot in a cell?" The casual confession, the complete lack of shame just knocked the wind out of me. Liam stepped toward her. "His trouble? And you took our money? Our entire wedding fund, Mom? Without even asking?" "There was no time to ask," she shrieked, playing the martyr. "He called me from jail, terrified. It was an emergency. Family helps family." That wasn't your money, I cried, hot tears of rage finally falling. We worked for 2 years for that money. That was our future. Oh, stop being so dramatic, she scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. It's just money. You're young, you can make more. A wedding is just a party. My son's freedom is what's important. Your wedding was too extravagant anyway. Just have a small ceremony in the backyard. It'll be more intimate. Her words were like slaps. The callousness, the entitlement, the absolute disregard for us, for our work, for our dream. She wasn't sorry. She thought she was the hero here, swooping in to save her precious son. We were just selfish kids for caring more about a party than her manufactured crisis. She had stolen from us, and in her mind, she was completely justified. She looked at our broken faces and felt nothing but righteous anger. In that moment, I didn't just dislike my future mother-in-law. I hated her. Leaving Brenda's house felt like escaping a blast zone. The world was quiet, but my ears were ringing. Liam didn't say a word on the drive home. He just stared ahead, his jaw clenched. When we walked back into our apartment, the place where we'd dreamed up our whole future, it felt contaminated. He went to the window and just stood there with his back to me. When he finally turned around, his face was wrecked with pain. I am so sorry, he whispered, his voice cracking. It's not your fault, Liam, I said, my own anger melting into a deep ache for him. You didn't do this. She's my mother, he said, the words tasting like poison. How could she do this to us? To me? He sank onto the sofa and buried his face in his hands. He was ripped in two, by the woman who raised him and the woman he'd chosen. He was furious, disgusted, but years of being conditioned to protect his family was a hard thing to shake. His first instinct was to try and fix it. Maybe we can work something out, he suggested later that night. I'll talk to her and my dad. Maybe they can take out a loan, pay us back in installments. Pay us back? I stared at him. Liam, she committed a crime. She stole $20,000. This isn't a family squabble you can just work out. This is grand theft. But she's my mom, he repeated, looking helpless. We can't call the cops on my mom, can we? That question hung between us like a thick fog. It was the start of the hardest week of our relationship. We argued, not screaming matches, but tense, whispered fights late into the night. For me, it was simple. Brenda had to face consequences. This wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about the betrayal. Liam, though, was trapped by this idea of family obligation. He called his dad, a man who had long been a passive bystander to his wife's obsession with Kevin. His dad was sorry, but useless. You know how your mother gets about Kevin, was his pathetic excuse. Let me talk to her. We'll figure it out. But Brenda had already launched her counteroffensive. She called everyone, aunts, uncles, cousins, spinning a story about a devoted mother forced into a hard choice and a cold-hearted future daughter-in-law who cared more about a party than family. Soon the texts started rolling in. Some were sympathetic but pressuring. She made a mistake, but she's your mother. While others were flat-out accusatory. How can you be so selfish? Family comes first. We were being painted as the villains. The final straw was finding out the truth about Kevin. A cousin, horrified by what Brenda did, told us why he'd been arrested. It wasn't minor. He'd been caught with a large quantity of stolen prescription drugs, with intent to sell. A felony. And with his priors, this was his third strike. He was facing serious prison time. The 20 grand wasn't just for bail. It was a down payment for a shark of a defense attorney. She hadn't just stolen our wedding fund. She'd stolen our future to buy her criminal son a get-out-of-jail-free card. As if that wasn't enough, Kevin himself weighed in. Now out on bail, thanks to us, he sent me a string of texts. First, they were taunting. Heard the wedding's off. Bummer, the ex for the loan BTW. When I didn't reply, they got nasty. You better not cause more trouble for my mom. You have no idea who you're messing with. Keep your mouth shut. I showed the texts to Liam. As he read them, I saw something in his face snap. The conflict, the confusion. It all evaporated, replaced by a cold, hard rage I had never seen in him. Threatening me was a line that couldn't be uncrossed. That evening, Brenda called. I put her on speaker. First came the crocodile tears. "I just don't understand why you're trying to tear this family apart," she sobbed. When that didn't work, her tone turned to venom. "You are a manipulative, evil girl. You've turned my son against me. If you go to the police, you will regret it. You'll destroy this family, and it will be all your fault." I calmly replied, "You already destroyed this family, Brenda," and hung up. I looked at Liam. His eyes were clear. The fog was gone. He finally saw his mother and brother for what they were: a threat to our life, our safety, and our future. There was no more talk of working things out. There was only one path left. The air in our apartment felt different that night. The tension was gone, replaced by a quiet, grim resolve. We just sat on the couch, not talking, letting the new reality sink in. Finally, I turned to him. "This isn't just about the money anymore," I said, my voice steady. "We can save more money. We can have a different wedding. This is about our future. Your mother committed a felony. Your brother is threatening me. They feel entitled to our life. What kind of future can we build if we let that stand? If we teach them this is okay?" I took a deep breath. I can't marry into a family that thinks this is acceptable. I can't live my life wondering when your mother will decide Kevin's needs are more important than our mortgage or our kids' college fund. This is a cancer, Liam. And if we don't cut it out now, it will kill us. I saw the weight of my words hit him. He closed his eyes and a single tear ran down his cheek. He was mourning the family he thought he had. But when he opened his eyes, they were clear. He'd made his choice. "You're right," he said, his voice firm. "You are 100% right. There's no us if we don't do this. My loyalty is to you, to our future. Not to them, not anymore." He reached over and took my hand. "We do this together," he said. "A team." The relief was overwhelming. We weren't fighting each other anymore. We were a united front. The decision was made. We were going to the police. The next day, we started preparing. We printed the bank statements, highlighting the wire transfer. We screenshotted Kevin's texts. I wrote down a detailed timeline of everything. Liam called his father and told him what we were about to do, that he was doing it to protect me and their future. His dad was quiet for a long time before just saying, "I understand." There was no argument, just a deep, sad resignation. Neither of us really slept that night. It felt like we were about to press the big red button and detonate our own family. It felt unnatural and wrong. But we also knew, with a certainty that was chilling, that it was the only thing we could do. It was a choice between a painful truth and a lie that would poison everything. We were choosing the truth. We were choosing us. The next morning, we walked into the police station. It smelled like stale coffee and disinfectant. Just a week ago, I'd been tasting wedding cakes. Now, I was about to file a criminal complaint against my fiancé's mother. We sat down with a tired-looking officer. At first, I saw that familiar skepticism in his eyes. Another messy family dispute. But then we laid out the evidence. The bank statement, the screenshots of Kevin's threats, the written timeline. As he looked it all over, his demeanor changed. The skepticism was gone, replaced by a focused seriousness. He looked up. "So let me get this straight. Your fiancé's mother accessed your joint account and without permission wired $20,000 to a bail bondsman for her other son, who then threatened you." "Yes," we both said. He nodded slowly. "Grand theft is a serious charge. The threats add another layer. We'll definitely be looking into this." Leaving the station, I felt numb. We had lit the fuse. Now we just had to wait for the explosion. It came 2 days later. The police moved fast. They got a warrant and confirmed the transfer with the bank and the bondsman. The evidence was undeniable. They went to Brenda's house to question her. We heard later from Liam's dad that she was completely blindsided. She had wrapped herself up so tightly in her own story that she never believed we'd actually do it. She thought being a mother, his mother, made her immune. She tried to play the victim, telling the officers it was all a big misunderstanding, just a loan. But they weren't family members she could manipulate. They were professionals with a file full of facts. When they confronted her with the details and told her that what she'd done was a felony, she reportedly flew into a rage, accusing them of harassing her and siding with me. The real reckoning happened that afternoon. We didn't see it, but Liam's dad described it over the phone, his voice shaking. The police returned with an arrest warrant. He described the look of pure disbelief on her face as they read her rights, how she was escorted from her pristine home in handcuffs and put in the back of a police car, in full view of the nosy neighbors she was always so desperate to impress. The irony was staggering. The woman who valued her son's freedom over our entire future was now having her own taken away. The woman who scoffed at consequences was now facing the most public, humiliating one imaginable. There was no sense of victory, just a profound, hollow sadness. The bomb had gone off. The arrest sent shockwaves through the family. The judgmental calls stopped, replaced by a stunned silence. A criminal charge was a lot more serious than gossip. The family didn't just have a crack in it. It was shattered. Brenda was charged with felony grand theft. Facing a mountain of evidence, she took a plea deal. She avoided jail time but got 5 years of probation, a hefty fine, and court-ordered restitution for the full $20,000. For Kevin, losing his mom's financial safety net was the end of the line. His expensive lawyer dropped him. He took a plea deal that sent him to prison for 3 years. The threats against me also got him a restraining order, legally barring him from ever contacting me again. The family imploded. The relatives who had called us cruel now treated us like ghosts. We were the ones who broke the code. We accepted it and cut them off. Liam's relationship with his father is strained, but it survived. His dad is stuck in the middle, and their calls are sad and stilted. They don't talk about Brenda. And us? We survived. Better than that, we thrived. Facing down that betrayal together forged our relationship into something unbreakable. We'd been tested by fire and came out stronger. We never had our big, fancy wedding. The thought of planning another party felt wrong, and while our $20,000 budget was modest by some standards, it was a fortune to us. Instead, 2 months after Brenda's sentencing, we took the first restitution check, went to the courthouse with my parents and 2 close friends, and got married. Afterwards, we got pizza. There was no barn, no band, no seating chart. But holding my new husband's hand, I felt more joy and certainty than any lavish wedding could have given me. Our marriage wasn't built on a party. It was built on resilience and trust that we had fought for and won. It's been 2 years. We get a check from Brenda every month, a court-ordered reminder of her betrayal. We have no contact with her or that side of the family. We hear through Liam's dad that she's bitter and still sees herself as the victim. We've had to accept that some people never change. And the best you can do is get them out of your life. We lost a wedding, but we gained a future. We used the rest of the money to put a down payment on a small house, a safe space that is truly ours. Our relationship is stronger than I ever imagined. We learned the hard way that the family you choose is so much more important than the one you're given. We learned that standing up for yourself, especially when it's the hardest thing to do, is the only way to protect your peace. It was a nightmare, but we walked through it together. And we came out the other side, stronger and more in love than ever. We found our happily ever after, not in a fairy tale wedding, but in the quiet strength of our partnership. So that's our story. It's a hard one to tell, but we felt it was important. What would you have done? Did we go too far, or would you have done the same? We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. And if you've ever dealt with a family betrayal like this, please know you're not alone. Thanks for listening. If you appreciate stories about overcoming the odds and finding justice, consider liking and subscribing for more.